Yeah. What a fucking well, couple of weeks it's been. Yes, after my mic died and I got it all fixed and stuff, I just been kind of lazy and didn't really want to redo these videos, but I guess I got to. But anyways, here goes to what I was talking about so you people can understand all the quiet images that I was showing everybody. And I probably will be in two parts. But anyways, here's part one. Anyways, to start, the generalized stupidity of it all. Oh, the stupid people. This is a reply to GlockNinja. Yes, Glock, that is a nice PS2 shirt you have there. And this is actually a reply to not one, not two, but three GlockNinja videos. And he basically said some of the most astoundingly stupidest things I've ever heard. One of which he was talking about how brilliant the cell processor was and how it made the PS3 smarter. Well, it's so brilliant that IBM said that the Power XL 8i processor is going to be the last cell processor. I'm not going to link it because it's pretty much old news now. But IBM is essentially given up on Cell. So if PlayStation decides to use that in their PlayStation 4, in my honest opinion, Sony's stupid. They should just stick to the substandard power processors. It's just as smart. It has all the same crap that it actually makes them, in my honest opinion, a little bit more smarter than PCs. Mainly because that whole RISC versus CISC, and of course both the Cell and the Power PC are both RISC, but still, the Cell, in my honest opinion, is pretty much dead. The whole master versus the master with the whole slave cores just confused the hell out of the developers, and they don't like it. None of the developers liked it. So IBM is just going to give up on it. But what really astounded me on your complete ignorance and stupidity, maybe it can be understandable because most of the customers didn't know this actually happened. But to have you come out and say such an idiotic thing, just downright idiotic. You basically said that the North American game crash of 1983 never happened, or somewhere in the 1980s, but it was in 83, by the way. You said it never happened. You said it was just a transition. I didn't just look all this up in Wikipedia. I looked it up all over the internet. And basically, as said here, the Great North American Game Crash of 1983 did in fact happen, Glock. And oddly enough, this Wikipedia actually says it is pretty much close. And yes, I looked this up all over the internet, but I went with just this Wikipedia page because it was just easier and more to the point. One of the main reasons: too many consoles. The ColecoVision, the Epson, Amelia, the Fairchild, the Magnavox Odyssey, and the Intellivision 1 and 2. Sears even had a gaming system, the Vertex, and of course, you had the Atari 5200, and the Atari 2600. What basically happened was Atari felt that it was time for the 2600 to go away. They bring up the Atari 5200, and the 5200 was another piece of shit. And its controllers were shit. And basically, I think it had a 98% failure rate. I'm not joking, by the way. Most of the controllers, you will have a problem. You have to basically get a refurbished. If you're looking for controllers on eBay, you have to get a working refurbished one, basically rebuilt from the ground up. for the 2600, for the 5200. But mostly you would find broken controllers for the 20 no 5200 because pretty much all of them never worked. But they were shit controllers anyways, and they had a shit design. That even led into the Atari 8600. But the 5200 was such bad that they went back to the 2600. Way to go, Atari. Way to go. Eh, you fucked up. And of course, and as well as an oversaturation of games. One, and of course, with two bad games, Atari, Pac-Man, and ET, and of course, developers breaking off, like losing publishing control, which is why companies like Activision now exist. And they were just made a ton of programs. It even gotten so bad that even dog food companies were making games for Atari 2600. I'm not joking that they really were. Secondly, you also, and I'll get back to this whole North American game crash probably in the part 2 video, but secondly, you said something else. There was no real hardcore shooter. The only real hardcore shooter came out in the 80s, all the way up until the 90s, was, I can think of, is probably this game, Smash TV. Came out in 1991. Okay, close, but there probably are more hardcore shooter games, and if you can think of them for the regular NES, go ahead. Yes, and the reason why Smash TV for the regular NES didn't have any blood is because, well, it's the graphics back then. Trying to add blood into some really subpar graphics, well, back then they were the best graphics of all time, was a little bit on the difficult side. But, and yes, of course, I basically know what you're talking about. Mortal Kombat, because when the Super NES came out, they censored Mortal Kombat in 1993. I mean, there's no other Bloodsport game or shoot 'em up game with, large amounts of blood that came out before Mortal Kombat, is there? Come on. I mean, all there is just Super Smash TV, and that came out in 19. What the fuck? Oh, wait, that's 1992, but Mortal Kombat was censored in 1993. Hmm. Hmm. Something's wrong. Well, yeah. I. Hmm, that's a bit of a shock, isn't it, there, Mr. GlockNinja? Mr. The North American video game crash in 1983 didn't happen. It was just a transition. No, stupid. Let me explain. All the video game companies, all the prices dropped like a rock because there was just too much shit coming out. And none of the customers really knew this until it was too fucking late. I'll explain in part 2. Thank you so much.